We got some pretty big news in the NFL today that the Jets are benching Zach Wilson. Not only that, but the Texans are also benching Davis Mills. And I usually won't make these types of videos, but both of these situations do affect the Dolphins. Of course, the Jets in our own division, and a win last week for them would have knocked us out of first place. And for the Texans, we play them this weekend. So Kyle Allen will be the starter after Davis Mills, like I said, was benched kind of randomly just a couple hours ago. But starting out with the Zach Wilson situation, I'm not too surprised. I don't think it's the right decision. I don't think it's the right decision by Robert Saleh. We know Tua got benched multiple times in the game, which is even worse than kind of before the game because you don't even have time to prep. And the two games that he did get benched in were both in his rookie season when Ryan Fitzpatrick was the backup. The first game was against the Broncos, I believe, where he wasn't even having that bad of a game. Where Ryan Fitzpatrick came in and threw the game-losing interception, and then the second game was the Raiders game towards the end of the season where Tua wasn't even having a bad game once again, and Ryan Fitzpatrick came in and made some crazy couple throws, like with the face mask, that famous throw. So he was able to win us that game. Very glad for him, but there was definitely times where Tua had to learn, and it was with Brian Flores, who we found out, or we pretty much knew, didn't really had no confidence in Tua, trying to make a trade for multiple QBs while he had him. Didn't even want to draft him at first. I didn't. I was all for Herbert. I will say I was on that train, but with the way things are going, I'm kind of switching my pickup. Obviously, been a fan of Tua ever since he was drafted to the Dolphins, though. But back onto the Zach Wilson topic, I think you can't do that. He has a couple bad games, sure. The Jets are 5-2 right now, and this itself proves that wins are not a QB stat; they are a team stat. I kind of make that conversation go both ways, especially for Tua. I'm always going to bring up the topic that he's 7-0 as a starter in games that he finishes, but I also bring up those three games that we lost because those three games that we lost were all without him. So it literally it's the definition of most valuable player. But I don't think that you should be benching Zach Wilson. You play the Bears this week, known for having one of the worst defenses in the NFL. You can probably play him in that game, see if he gets back on track, and then take it from there. But he went, I think, off the top of my head, I think it was 7 for 22 and like 90 yards against the Patriots, which obviously is awful. And watching the game back, there was a ton of throws that he missed, screen passes that he missed, plays that looked like he didn't even know what the play was. So it makes sense that he was benched, but I don't think it's the right decision. I think you have to let him play through it, give him a notice, and see how he reacts and whether it affects him or not. But when I saw that he was getting benched, I'm like, okay, Joe Flacco is probably going to be better anyways. But Mike White is the starting quarterback for the Jets. The future isn't Joe Flacco or Mike White. The future on that team right now is Zach Wilson, and at least anybody on that team, the future is Zach Wilson. It probably could be another guy, but on that team right now, it's Zach Wilson, so you have to let him take charge and see if he can improve his game based off of that last week against New England, but I don't think the right decision is starting Mike White over benching Zach Wilson. But onto the Texans situation, I had somewhat high hopes for Davis Mills. I did end up thinking that they would draft the quarterback in the 2023 draft because I didn't think the Texans would go far. But Davis Mills played pretty well last season for a Texans team that had like no high hopes at all after like Tyrod Taylor was benched. Davis Mills played all right, but this season the Texans are 1-7-1 or maybe 1-8-1, one of those two. And obviously it affects the Dolphins because we play them this weekend, and I'm definitely more nervous than I should be to be playing the worst team in the NFL. But this is the definition of a trap game. I've been talking about it all season, that tough stretch starting next week with the Niners and the Chargers, Bills, Packers, Patriots. But this game right here, the definition of a trap game, is ignoring a bad team you play and looking ahead to a better team you play. And this is the definition of that. The Niners had a great game against the Cardinals on Monday night. And we're looking ahead to that game already. We're not even focusing on this Texans game. But now, it's a bit weird because you're facing this backup quarterback who hasn't played in a couple years. But Kyle Allen, I do remember watching him play on the Panthers a couple years ago. he's not somebody you want to put to the side because the Texans do have some playmakers that can make some stuff happen on both sides of the ball. Dameon Pierce is the guy I'm scared of, to be honest. Brandon Cooks can always have some explosive plays. Nico Collins, Chris Conley, and on the defensive side, Derek Stingley's been playing well. Hasn't been playing very well, especially the way that the Texans have been playing him. Jalen Petre, who's been playing well as a second-round pick, as the safety. It's definitely, I'm not as confident as other people are for this game. I do think that Dolphins will win, obviously, and then a pretty well-fashioned, but I'm a bit scared. I don't hate the decision by Lovie Smith for benching Davis Mills. Has not been playing well at all this season, so I guess you want to test out what else could work. But obviously at this point in the season, you're focusing on getting a high draft pick and taking another quarterback. C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker looks like towards ACL a couple of days ago, so it's looking most likely that it won't happen. But Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud are the two guys that come to mind. Caleb Williams potentially. I don't know if he's committing yet. Not too familiar with the college guys yet, but obviously will be soon with the college football playoffs coming up, whatever. But that will wrap up some pretty big news with Zach Wilson and Davis Mills both getting benched within a couple hours. But that'll wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace.